So at the time of recording this video, it is New Year's Day 2025, and I just finished probably one of the most aggravating 4 to 5 hour gaming sessions I've had on this game to date. The cheating epidemic is what I'll call it. It is just completely out of control. Players are overrunning the lobbies with ridiculous wall hacks and aim locks, and it's just so profuse that it's hard to even play the game. Better yet, the connection is at an all-time low as well. We are experiencing some of the worst packet loss and lag that I've seen in the history of Warzone. I know that a lot of people are making videos bashing the game right now, but it is just getting so bad. So what I wanted to do is I actually have a 20 kill game from all the way back in October, just 2 months ago. This is actually just a couple days before Black Ops 6 released. And what I want to compare are some of the things that made Warzone 3 great, aside from the lack of hacking and the better connections. The second half of Warzone 3's year, from summer through fall, was actually really smooth, in part to a lot of bugs getting fixed, and just general quality of the game was actually quite good. The movement was fluid. We got pretty much all of the penalties removed over the course of Warzone 2, and the gunplay was just next level. And one of the things that I think is worse than the hacking problem and the server problem, and I don't want to downplay that because they're absolutely terrible, but in order for Warzone to even continue to exist, they're going to have to fix those, and that's going to be priority one. But what are we left with after that? What is the gameplay that we're going to see after they fix those issues, which are so bad at the start of the new year? The developers are going to come back from a holiday break, and they can't possibly ignore what's going on. But in this gameplay, I kind of want to focus on the other elements of the game that I think are broken right now, and not enough people are talking about them. And one of the first things I want to talk about is the actual flow of the game. The gunplay in the new Warzone 4 is just not consistent. It's not snappy enough, and the increase in movement in multiple directions has, I think, created a new challenge for aim assist mechanics, and there is a jarring unlock of that aim assist, which creates the inconsistencies for the player. It was very smooth 2 months ago. As you can see in this video here, we're sliding around, we're using all of the mechanics, and those mechanics, I think, are overcomplicating the positional accuracy and being able to see enemies in tight corridors, and using that. The visual recoil is a major issue. We're not able to see in these darker rooms that are just not polished yet, which is ironic because this is the same map that I'm experiencing from this gameplay. Rooms are still way too dark. We're still not able to lock and hold on to those targets, and nothing's changed. The controller's not changed. The player's not changed. What has changed is the core gameplay mechanics from the integration. And losing gunfight that you would normally win is extremely aggravating. And with that same accuracy problem comes the issue of bullet velocity. And there is a distinct connection, once again, through the desync, or the connection between those shots being fired and then them arriving on target. We are not having a great time connecting those shots. Whereas in this iteration of the game, we're able to rip multiple players from a distance and then push and continue to do what we love about the game, which is to get those multiple angles, that higher octane action. And one of the things that I think has to change is the developers have got to stop changing the mechanics that they use to control the meta. Some of those things are visual recoil. Some of it is what we kind of dubbed as bloom, if you remember all the way back in the Vanguard integration back, at the beginning of Caldera. There was just irregular shots that don't go along with the recoil pattern, which is something that players learn and master over and over again with their favorite guns, the meta guns, guns that aren't even meta. There's a curve to learning that, a literal curve and a learning curve. And when you take that away and you add irregularities to it, it causes for a lot of inconsistencies. And those inconsistencies build when you start talking about things like weaker connection and then just overall visibility. You add all that together and you just get this really crappy pizza of gunplay. And I think they need to do a lot to repair the current state of all of these weapons. If you look at like the DTIR or the static, their ability to be controlled in a player's hands are exceptional. You know, here we are in the middle of this game. I'm playing with randoms, and I'm not playing with any of my normal teammates, dropping a significant amount of kills, and it was a very consistent part of Warzone 3. Now, I got into some extremely sweaty lobbies and then would get dumpstered, just like everybody else. Any content creator that tells you that doesn't happen is full of baloney, or they're doing quite a bit to get into lobbies that they shouldn't necessarily be in. But in general, if you start to play the game smarter, which is essentially everything that my channel is about, we focus on strategic plays, we talk about different tips, and I'm still going to do that. I'm going to continue to do everything that I've done so far. It's been an amazing year with you guys, but what's been a terrible journey is trying to coach people on how to be better at the game in areas that are not consistent for the players that learn those tactics. And recoil has to be controllable in time, especially when you introduce it, through new guns. And, they play their marketing game. They want you to purchase the weapon bundles, and that's to each their own. But if you're going to play to players' emotions, you need to reward them for the effort that they put into it. Another thing that I want to talk about, the Omni movement has kind of created a new monster on its own front. I personally have been experimenting with the slide-only feature, and I was a huge advocate through the recommendations of the entire community that, hey, we'll put on hybrid and we'll continue to learn this. What I've found is that diving doesn't really have a huge advantage in this game. It's great for evading, shots from a surface or to get into cover, but chances are you can do most of that with a slide anyway. The penalties and the accuracy is god awful. So why we're putting so much focus on the dive mechanic? I think it's an unnecessary thing. I'm probably going to piss people off with that thought, but it's just my honest opinion. 2 months into it, and I've been playing with slide only back on for 2 weeks, and I'm actually doing better in gunfights because I'm not overcomplicating the directional movement. I'm still jumping. I'm still sliding. I don't need to incorporate a mechanic that does not benefit me in a close range combat. I can still jump backwards, I can still sprint sideways, I can still sprint forward diagonally, and I can slide in all of those directions as well. But the fluidity of the dive mechanic is just not there. And if it changes in the near future, I will switch it back and I will continue to practice using that. But right now, the movement penalties are way too high. Another thing that is absolutely crushing gunplay is the reload times. I said this back when amped was like a huge part of the everyday loadout, and it shouldn't have to be. The reload speed and the weapon swap speed should be pretty consistent, and it should be something that we should have as a base perk, which we still don't have. We don't have any base perks, and that's a huge issue. Because you're being pushed by multiple people that are sliding and diving in windows and coming from multiple angles, which is fantastic. That's what makes the game great. We need to be able to reload that magazine efficiently and correctly. We need to be able to cancel that reload, and why you would want to take that away, I just have absolutely no idea. Now, going back to the future, here we are in Warzone 4 gameplay. And something I wanted to really point out is the eliminations versus the kills. Don't think players have realized that that is now playing into your KD, which on the surface sounds like a great idea, right? But if you're only getting 10 actual kills and you're getting 16 eliminations, and those eliminations are counting towards your KD, it is inflating your KD and putting you in more difficult lobbies. Now, the logic behind that might be you're a more aggressive player, but I don't think it should be placing you in lobbies with players that are of a higher KD because you like to assist teammates in thirsting. What we really wanted was for more integrity on getting our actual kill and it not going to a teammate who was trying to help. I think that they took an opportunity to maybe include something for less aggressive players to make them feel like they contributed more to the team, but in the long run, it's negatively impacted the skill-based matchmaking. Visibility is still something that I think is a major design issue right now. I know that they've made claims that the interior shadowing has to do with weather elements and they're working on a fix for that, and they probably will, but the contrast of enemy players around cover, on rooftops, and especially inside buildings is just not there. And that plays for a very strong hand for the camping sentry players. It is not great for the aggressive player. Um, I think that could definitely be improved. The sound quality, the directional sound quality is still a work in progress. I think they elevated the footsteps and decreased the friendly footsteps, and that's definitely played a huge part in the improvement. You can only go up from where we came from, but the sound quality is a regular issue. And what I don't understand is how a map that's been around for so long and how we continue to update it and it just keeps breaking. That's something that in time, I don't know if we'll ever truly get an answer. We get a lot of excuses with sound. They just need to prioritize those channels more correctly. Now, I could go on to nitpick and talk about, we only have 6 plates without a satchel and, going into the deep details of the game. But the main problem right now is the actual gunplay and the connection and definitely the hacking. So there's only so many videos that a content creator can make about the same issue. And I just wanted to make this as a result of, I think their first priority when they get back is going to be fixing the hacking and hopefully working on the connection. And they've got to have heard the community and have a response. But after that, we seriously need to work on the flow of this game to get it to the point that it left off with 2 months ago. Because I was in love with Warzone 3, and I'm not in love with Warzone 4. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. SitRep out.